Hey guys! In this video we're making two different designs for wire wrapped crystal points. They're top drilled crystals and we've got a spiral and a flower. I'm going to make the spiral design first. For this one here we need about 8 inches of our 20 gauge dead soft silver wire. And we start by making our bail in the middle, so I'm just gently bending it. You can measure it if you need, but I find I can do it by eye. Then just grabbing it in the centre with your round nose pliers and bringing the wire around them 2 times to form 2 full loops around. Then we just twist those wires there around each other to secure the bail in place. Now you should have a nice secure bail in the middle of your wire there, and we can pop our top drilled crystal onto one of the wires. Doesn't matter which one. We're going to leave a little gap here between the bail and the crystal, and we're going to bend the bail up over the top so that it sits in the middle at the top. Then we can bring this other end over and it's going to come around the bail there. So I bring it once under this wire here and then once over. And that makes a nice secure connection there for your bail. Once you've come around that bail a couple of times and it's nice and tidy there, you can cut the tail off nice and short and crimp it in nice and tight. Now you want to check with your pliers and make sure your bail is sitting right over the centre of your crystal. Now we've got our other wire coming off here from the bail, and this is the one we're going to make our little spiral with. My little wire length here is about 3 inches long, so it's up to you how big you make your little spiral. I'm going to use about 2.5 inches for my little spiral here. To start our spiral, we're going to start right at the very end of our wire. And so with my round nose pliers, I'm just grabbing it right at the end and doing the smallest little twist I can. Gently bringing it around, and then I start to bring the little tail under. If I can focus it there, you can see it's coming down and it actually comes underneath the spiral. And then it gives me a little something to grab onto with my pliers there. And I can work the rest of the wire around itself to start to form the spiral from the inside. Gently keeping that pressure on while you're holding that little tail underneath and just spinning that wire around itself to form that spiral. You want your spiral to stay nice and flat, so you might find it easier at some points just to work with it with your pliers as well and bring it around that way. Working with your wire gently until you've got it up quite close to the top of the crystal there where it's going to sit. Once it's up near the top, you can cut that little tail off underneath. You want your spiral to be able to sit nice and flat, so you don't want that little piece poking out underneath. I'm just making sure that my spiral is sitting nicely and it's flat, and once I'm happy with it, I can pop it down onto the crystal. Making sure it's a nice tight spiral right up to the top, and once you're up as far as you want it and it's sort of centered, then you can just bend it downwards so that the spiral faces to the front on that little wire there. Now you can tweak your little spiral and wrap, just make sure it's all sitting how you like it. So you can see the difference between the 2.5 inch length of wire on the left and the 3 inch wire on the right. Now moving on to the second wire wrap design, which is the flower one. For this one here, I use 11 inches of the 20 gauge dead soft silver wire. For this one here, we make our bail near the middle. I put it about 1 inch to the side of the middle there. So I just make a bend and then I can grab it with my round nose pliers and then start to bring the wire around my pliers there to make 2 full loops around for my bail. Then we twist these wires around each other and that secures that bail in place. Now we pop the crystal onto the slightly longer wire there and leaving this little gap in between the crystal and the bail so that we can bend the bail up over the crystal and it sits in the center. Then we can bring this other side wire up to meet up with the bail there and bring it around the bottom of the bail a couple of times. Once that bail's secure, we're going to bring these wires off to one side in the same direction. And you can have a play with how tight you twist these together. I actually find it's best if they're just kind of loosely twisted, and then as you wrap them around it gives a look that sort of looks like petals on a flower. But I'm just bringing these, see how I've brought them both over towards the left hand side, and then I'm just loosely twisting them around each other. Twisting down to the end there, and it doesn't have to be super tight or even. Now with our wires coming down the left hand side, we're going to just start to form a little bend in the wire there about where the middle of our flower is going to sit. And we want the wires to come around in a nice tight circle. So we can put some pressure on there and pull them around, and then work with our round nose pliers as well, just to pull the circle nice and tight in the center there. Then we're going to slowly work our wires around that central part. Now I can gently work with pressure. So I sort of hold it on with my thumb, pushing against the crystal, and then I can bring the wires around that central part. So just making sure that they come around nice and close and sort of tight so that we're actually making a nice small flower there. Keeping that pressure on and bringing the wires around, spinning the crystal and making sure with your pliers that those wires are coming in nice and tight. You should have a nice flower shape forming sort of in the middle of your crystal point there. When the ends of these wires come across the top here and you're not going to have enough wire to go around one more time, then we're going to end the wires and secure them in underneath your little flower here. So I've just cut one piece off in a way that it's going to be hidden there, and then the other piece here, I've cut that tail nice and short, and I'm just bending the very tip of it around so that I can tuck it underneath the wires that are holding the flower on. So I want that to be kind of locked onto those other wires there so that your little flower is not going to come undone. And you want that other little end piece hidden as well. So just cut that off in a way that it's hidden underneath sort of one of the petals when it's twisted around. Now you can take some time with your pliers, check over your whole wrap, make sure it's all sitting how you like it, that your bail's nice and round and straight, and that your flower's sitting in the middle of your wrap and it's all nice and symmetrical. So there's your two different designs for wire wrapped top drilled crystals.